Do you like Pokémon? Do you like Paper Mario?
Yeah! Okay!
Do you like Dodgeball? Wow, okay then. You should check out Dodgeball Academia. This was a game I randomly stumbled across a little while back, and I think it deserves some more love. Sometimes you gotta rep for stuff that's a little bit off the radar like this. Anyone else just really enjoy Dodgeball? Like, this was the only good bit of PE class for me. You don't have to be an athlete to enjoy the act of smashing each other with balls. Dodgeball Academia is a dodgeball RPG that I think feels most similar to Paper Mario in both its art direction and gameplay, to a certain degree. It's developed by a Brazilian indie dev called Pocket Trap, who have also made a show for Cartoon Network in Latin America based off of another game they have previously developed. So it's a kind of mix of Paper Mario's timing-based RPG combat and some Pokémon vibes, as well as a modern Cartoon Network styled aesthetic. You play as Otto, who is clearly biting Ash Ketchum's style a little bit. He transfers to the Dodgeball Academy from the referee school to learn the 5 Ds of dodgeball.
Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge.
And become the GOAT of the sport. Along the way, you recruit a group of misfits into your team to embark on various silly quests and dodgeball battles across the school grounds. Then, to finish each day, you'll face off against another team to advance in the tournament. It draws its premise and over-the-top style from sports anime, and it's a light-hearted, low-stakes little adventure front to back. Immediately, the most apparent thing about this game is that the art style goes hard as hell. Like, pretty much every named NPC character is given a sick idle animation at the very least. This game looks so cool. It's a mix of quality hand-drawn sprites with simple pastel-colored 3D environments. You can box in the style as Cal Arts or whatever, but even if it's not totally distinct, it works really well within this context, and the characters each have a strong personality. Personally, this sort of 2D on 3D art style really appeals to me. Like, obviously Paper Mario looks like this and is quite memorable aesthetically, but also think of the legions of fighting games that do this and look sick. Brief shout out to my dog Rayman and all those Vanillaware games as well for doing this style so nicely. Just isolating the running animations or the idols each character has, they pack in so much personality into even the side characters. Like the lunch lady or the librarian have a sick idol animation that makes them memorable even though they're relatively inconsequential NPCs. I enjoyed swapping my party members around so I could see more of them in battle and look out for any cool little animation flourishes. There clearly was so much love put into animating these characters, and as such this is a really nice game to see in motion. The 3D environments are simple but effective and complement the character sprites, allowing them to pop out more. The characters are a mix of human, animal, geometric shape, and balloon guy. I don't really know what Balloony's deal is, but he's kinda cracked at dodgeball, so he's my bro. I think the game's soundtrack fits nicely too. This is where the Pokémon influence can be most felt, with triumphant sounding battle themes with catchy melodies and endearingly cheesy electric guitars. It fits the Pokémon by way of sports anime vibes well. The core of Dodgeball Academia is a mix of running around the school, progressing the sports-themed RPG plot, and engaging in dodgeball battles. These battles are usually triggered like in Pokémon, where you'll have a bunch of people waiting to force you into a battle when you walk past, or they'll happen in mandatory fashion as the plot demands. The battle system usually sees you 3-on-3 versus another team, or 3v some number. It can be more than 3 sometimes. You control the leader of your party, and the other 2 follow closely behind in a triangle formation, controlled by the CPU, who will contribute occasionally, though the player control character is responsible for most of the offense and defense. You can change the order of the formation and so switch between your 3 player characters whenever you choose. Depending on what character you've chosen, they'll have different attributes and abilities. You have a form of offense, which is always throwing the ball in some way, a form of defense, which is either a catch or a counter, and you can also jump or dodge as well, depending on the character. Not only that, but each character can charge themselves up like they're trying to go Super Saiyan God mode to receive some sort of stat boost. This is a good option to use if the other team is holding the balls, and then you can put the pressure on them. Each character also has a Baltimate move, which can be used for a lot of damage if timed correctly. And yes, it's actually called Baltimate. I kinda respect them from withholding most opportunities for ball puns, but then just kept this one in, which is so bad I don't know if it really even counts as a pun. So it's an action RPG system. Rather than characters being out if you hit them with the ball, like in real life dodgeball rules, it just depletes their HP. Though once they hit 0, they will stand outside the court and can still contribute by throwing balls back into the court to aid their remaining team members. It's often a bit chaotic, but I found it a lot of fun. There's a lot of different options for how you throw the ball. You can charge it up, throw it slower or faster, and each character often has different ways of throwing. Like this dude throws the ball up in the air, for example, or Balloony's is like a knuckleball that moves side to side. Joy has curve throws that work like boomerangs if they miss. As you go on and characters level up, they start becoming more distinct. Like Sunico's balls have a gum effect where they can trap characters in place briefly. Or later Balloony gets cracked because his balls can move past the first character hit and combo multiple opponents in a row. The catch or counter a ball, you have to get your timing right, which in more chaotic matches can get hard to nail down. Sometimes I'd lose my rhythm and get smashed up by tougher opponents, but in general the game is fairly easy and you can break the game a bit by using certain equipment combos, but the difficulty is fully adaptable in the options menu if you think it's too easy or too hard. I found out because it was a decent challenge that the game mostly stopped me from brute forcing encounters with pure offense. Some of the boss battles can actually get a little intense with the intricacy of the attacks you'll have to counter or catch. I found Otto's ultimate move to be slightly OP. It's essentially a Kamehameha wave that you send off and it has quite a large range in terms of length and width, as well as doing massive damage. Otto is also the only character that can charge up the meter for this attack manually, so it's the easiest ultimate move to grind up during a battle. Sometimes it can feel cheap and like an end battle button. Combine this with certain equipment to fast track the ultimate meter, and you can scuff a lot of battles by grinding the meter up quickly and ending the battle with one attack. There's also varied courts, like check out these ones in the tall grass where I'm surprised Pokémon don't jump out at you, or of course the courts with slippery ice, because we always need slippery ice levels in games, it's mandatory. Oh yeah, and check this out, you can even play in traffic.
You can dodge traffic, you can dodge a ball.
One of my favorite touches to this game is the ridiculously over-the-top ragdolls the characters will do when you knock them out. Combined with great weighty sound effects for hits, it doesn't really get old. They do constantly throw in new ideas to the battle system to keep it from going stale, like different balls with status effects, and new techniques to defend against like these ghost balls. If I put my critic hat on, which I think looks nice on me by the way, do you like it? I will say that sometimes the game feels a bit padded out with fetch quest style objectives. Even in the main story, occasionally they'll be like, go to this classroom, you'll walk there and view a dialogue scene, okay, now go to the cafeteria to meet up with this character, you'll run there and there's a dialogue scene saying actually he's in the library, and maybe you battle someone before going to the library where the character actually is to progress the plot. Luckily there's this useful roll move you can do to go really fast around the map, which makes getting from place to place less of a chore. You can roll so fast that sometimes the camera can't keep up with you. In general the game is quite dialogue heavy, though I thought the script, while not laugh out loud funny, was quite charming, and I'm sure if you enjoy the writing and stuff like Paper Mario, you'll get on board with this. The beginning of the game is the bit which feels most heavy on text boxes. Later on the pace is better with battles interspersed between scenes of plot or character interactions. Most of the side quests are simple fetch quests, but some are decent, like there's this small dodgeball tournament where there's no division on the court, which changes up the strategy considerably. There's also this NPC who challenges you each day and tries different approaches every time, which is a fun little recurring quest line. He gets kinda cracked by the end. I've played mainstream, expensive games with far worse fetch quests, but this doesn't really excuse some of the stuff here from being pretty simple and uninspired. Regardless of some of its flaws, I think Dodgeball Academia deserves some more eyes on it than it ended up getting since its release in 2021. It's about 10 hours long, and if you're a fan of its influences, you'll probably have a good time with this. I think it's just about the length it should be, and easily worth picking up on a Steam sale. It's also on Nintendo Switch too, where I'm sure it feels right at home. I'd like to see him come back to this Dodgeball RPG premise, like how this one has the feel of a sports anime. Maybe next time we can go in the direction of Dodgeball Shonen, or a Dodgeball mecha game. Damn, actually now I think about it, Shinji and Asuka would be the goats of Dodgeball. Let's get them on the team.